What's up, folks? It's your boy Coach Ty back at you with another one, and we've got for Workout Wednesday today our beginner dumbbell workout. Again, you can find this workout and many more over on musclewiki.com/workouts. Go check us out there. I've got Elda back to help us with another one, and she's going to be taking us through all these exercises. She's very excited about it. Very excited. So here we go. All right, so we got 4 exercises, 3 sets of 10 for all of them. First exercise is the dumbbell goblet squat. And we're also gonna go through a warm-up here. What I always recommend for warm-ups is to use the exercises that you're performing in your warm-up. Just do them very light. There is some indication that going heavier on your warm-ups can have some benefit, but we'll get into that later. Primary thing you're looking for in your warm-up, as I always say, is to literally warm up. You want to raise your core body temperature because that's what's best associated with injury prevention as well as performance. So we're starting with the dumbbell goblet squat. We're going to use this right here. Here you go. In goblet squat, you'll hold your dumbbell here, and then you perform your squat. And we're just going to go to 10 here, Elda. Very low squat, very nice. You're always aiming to hit at least parallel depth on your squats that you're performing. And especially during a warm-up, just take your time, try to move well, move a little bit more slowly than you might during your working sets. That's 6, I believe. Yeah, I love when I count right and I'm talking at the same time. It's my favorite thing. Count on your fingers, people. 8, 2 more. Very nice, good depth. Last one, and that's 10, okay, resting. Our second exercise, dumbbell row, bilateral. Bilateral means both sides. So you can go ahead, grab that second dumbbell. We're gonna hinge forward, nice flat back, let your arms hang freely, and then pull your elbows back toward the ceiling and extend. Make sure you fully extend the elbows on each rep and pull those elbows straight back. Now, one good cue that I've used before on this exercise is imagine you have a tennis ball in your armpit. And then as you pull, try to squeeze that tennis ball on each rep. That's gonna force your elbows in and force you to really squeeze that lat as you're performing this move. And as always, flat back. Excellent form. What number are we on so far? 8, 2 more. A 9, last one, a 10. Resting, okay? Our third exercise will be the forward lunge. We've also got 3 sets of 10 here, but we're gonna do 10 total, so that's 5 each leg. If you wanna progress this a little bit further, you wanna do a little extra volume, you can do 10 each leg, but we've already done some quad and glute work earlier in the workout with the goblet squat. So it might be a good idea to go a little bit less here, especially again, if you're a beginner and this is a beginner workout. So Elda, let's have you face this way, yep. And then on your lunges, you wanna keep a tall chest, back knee should tap the floor, and then on a forward lunge, you have to explode off that front leg and extend all the way back. Yep. And again, we're going 10 total here. Try to keep your eyes ahead. Your body will follow your eyes, and it's very common to look down while performing a lunge. And what can often happen if you're looking down is you'll get too hunched forward. So eyes ahead, tall chest. Okay, good. How many more we got? One more, last one. Resting, okay? That's move number 3. And then our final move is the overhead press. So we want to have the elbows at a roughly 45-degree angle, so we don't want to be too pulled in here. We also don't want to be all the way out here. That's not wrong per se, but we're going for more of a general, try to hit both the front and side delt overhead press variation. So again, we'll be at 45-degree angle, nice strong wrists, press, fully extend the elbows, and then back to your sides. Yep, nice long range of motion. Very nice. And on overhead pressing, you often have the opposite problem with the lumbar spine that you have on like a row. With a row, it can be very easy to round the back this way. With an overhead press, thank you, can be very easy to round the back this way. Both are just as dangerous. So again, crunch, pull your rib cage down, flex your abs real hard, and make sure you're not hyperextending your lumbar spine. And resting, all right? That's our warm up. Again, if you don't feel quite ready to go yet, just run through these one more time with a slightly heavier weight. Try to break a little bit of a sweat, and then you're good to go. All right, set number 1, goblet squat. Here we go. We're going 3 sets of 10. We've got a heavier dumbbell here, of course. And we're gonna start our first working set. So here we go. Now make sure you try to maintain your form even as you're going heavier. Again, we wanna try to get the hamstring close to parallel. If you're not quite able to get that amount of depth, what I'd suggest is an assisted squat. So start off by holding on to something and then walk yourself down into a lower range of motion than you're used to. Range of motion is oftentimes a function of your nervous system and not necessarily muscle tightness. So you just have to get the the nervous system used to existing in that additional range of motion. It's 8. Did I count right? Yeah. 9. Fantastic form on these squats. Good depth. Last one. 10. Resting. And we're gonna take roughly 1 minute in between each of these sets. There is a ton of research on how much take set over set. The general recommendation for muscle growth is actually 2 minutes. So if you're serious about building as much muscle as you possibly can, rest 2 minutes. However, if you're looking for more general fitness, taking a minute is totally fine. Set number 2, here we go. Right, going back to 10. Now, for a beginner, performing 3 sets of 10 is totally fine, but as you start to advance and you're progressing, what you should be looking for is for the amount of reps that you're able to complete should be dipping set over set. So what you'll want to see instead of doing 3 sets of 10 is more like you did 10 and then you were only able to get to 9 and then you were only able to get to 7. What that means is that you hit muscular fatigue on each set, and you want to always seek muscular fatigue. 6? That's 10. No, we'll take 10. We'll take 10. If I counted wrong, please feel free to tell me. I count wrong sometimes. I was on a roll. I was on a roll with my counting. It's okay. That's all right. I appreciate you wanting to do more. All right, folks, final set of our goblet squat. Here we go. We're gonna go back to 10 here and focused on our depth. Perfect, very nice. I like the pause at the bottom too. Very nice, good range of motion. Pay particular attention to your feet on this goblet squat. Because the dumbbell is in front of you, the resistance will pull you forward. So make sure you don't pop up onto your toes as you're performing this. Make sure you keep your heels down. And also, if you're curious about what you should do as far as stance width, I generally, for ladies, suggest a slightly wider stance than for men. Because of the Q angle, women have wider hips, meaning that the hips come in towards the knee. So to get a straight angle from hip to knee, it can be more advantageous for ladies to go with a slightly wider stance, although it does vary quite a bit from person to person. That's one, thank you. Done. All right, next exercise, dumbbell bilateral row, which again means you're using both sides instead of just one. So we're gonna hinge forward, nice flat back, let the arms hang freely, and then pull those elbows straight back to the ceiling, squeeze that tennis ball, and then fully extend. It can be very easy to start using momentum on a row. Start getting the hips involved, bouncing a little bit, so make sure you maintain this position for the entire set. This is perfect. Looking good, Elda. 5. 5 more. 6. 7. So our first exercise trained the quads and the glutes. This one will train your lats and biceps. 9. Last one. 10. Very nice. Those look like they got fairly difficult. Yeah?
The last one?
Yeah, yeah.
But good.
On a scale of 1 to 10, as far as difficulty,
7.
give it a 7? Okay. So ask yourself that question when you finish each set. Scale of 1 to 10, how difficult was that? with 7 being you had maybe 3 more reps in the tank. 8, you had 2 more. 9, you had 1 more. For a beginner, I'd say you want to be at a 7 or an 8. There's no need for you to go to 10. No need. Although women handle going to 10 better than men do. Going to 10, you don't really get much additional benefit, but you do a lot more fatigue. So 7, 8, and you're good. Set number 2. Here we go. And we're gonna stick with these dumbbells here. Since we were at a 7, again, that's right where we wanna be difficulty-wise, so we're gonna stick with the same weight. We're going back to 10. Really good control of those. 3, 5, halfway there. Good. Back is flat, looking good. 8. Last one. Nice and strict. And resting. Perfect. That was great. Very nice. All right, final set of the dumbbell row. Here we go. So we want to pay particular attention as the sets are passing to make sure we maintain our form as we're fatiguing. That's 3, 4. Yep. Nice flat back. Perfect. Yeah. Very nice. And again, that's the kind of most common thing that will happen, especially as you start getting tired on a row, is the upper back and the lower back can start rounding. So make sure you stay nice and flat. Good. Flat, 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 and pull. Great. I lost count. 10. Done. Very nice. All right, good stuff as always, Elda. And we're done with the dumbbell row. Moving on to our lunge. All right, third exercise. We're halfway done at this point. We got 3 sets of these forward lunges. So again, we'll take a step forward, back knee will tap the floor and then explode, extend that knee back. We're gonna alternate legs and we're going 10 total. Again, it's totally fine for you to do 10 each leg if you wanna progress this and make it a little bit more difficult. 5, 6, eyes ahead, tall chest, pull the shoulder blades back. 7, 3 to go. I think, 8, 2 to go. 9, final rep. 10, very nice. All right, set number 2. Here we go. One more thing to pay attention to on your forward lunge is, again, your heels. So when you step forward, one common thing is the heels can come up. While again, that's not, again, I don't want to use the word wrong per se. There can be an occasion where you might want to pull your heels up so you can get a longer range of motion at the knee. In general, you want to try to stay flat-footed. And again, think explosively on your way back. Last one, yeah? Yeah, 10, resting. All right, last one, Elda. Let's keep it strict. Tall chest, shoulder blades pulled back, back knee taps the floor, and then you extend. Make sure you don't ram your back knee into the floor. I see that really often with lunges, is not controlling on the way down, ramming the back knee into the floor, and that's a recipe for an injury. So make sure you are controlled on your way down. What's there? 7, 8, 9, 10, done. Done with those, very nice. All right, good stuff. 3/4 of the way done. We got one more exercise and then we're good for today. All right guys, last exercise. Let's make it a good one. Dumbbell overhead press. This is gonna train our delts and our triceps. So 2 upper body exercises, 2 lower body ones. This will be our last upper body exercise. Here we go. We wanna fully extend the elbows and then bring those dumbbells all the way back down to your shoulders. Yep, very nice. As always, make sure, like I said earlier, make sure you're avoiding hyperextending your lumbar spine. Pull those rib cage down, the rib cage down, crunch, nice flat back. 6, there we go. Good extension of the elbows. 8, last 2. 9, and 10. 10. On an overhead press, you can kind of preferentially target the front or the side delt depending on where your elbows are. So if you want to make this a little bit more about the front delt, tuck the elbows in more. Go with a more like neutral grip, elbows pulled in. If you want to recruit the side delts a little bit more, elbows all the way out. Almost like, think like you're going to perform a behind the neck barbell press. Now that can be very hard on people's shoulder joints, so be careful with that. But again, just giving you options. All right, set number 2. Here we go. Again, we're keeping this as kind of a more general overhead press, so we're gonna stay at 45 degrees as we press. Yep, very nice. 2, 3. If you find yourself using your legs to get the weight from point A to point B, you're going a little bit too heavy. Go a little bit lighter. That is a real exercise called the push press, where you use an explosive dip to get the weights up. But that's not what we're doing here, so don't do that. Yeah, and 10. Resting. All right, ladies and gents, last set for today. Here we go. Let's make it good. The last set is where we make our money. 3, this is where the gains are made. 4, 5, 6, 7, last 3 reps. 9, full extension, control, and rest. Perfect, very nice. All right, that's it for our beginner dumbbell workout. Thank you guys for listening and watching. As always, you can find this workout and more over on musclewiki.com. Thank you, Elda. Very nice, well done. You can find her Instagram down in the description. I can't even talk anymore. Her Instagram down in the description below, and I will see you with the next one. Deuces.